Alright, welcome back everybody. In this video we're going to look at the first few examples from the Substitution Part 2 lesson. Here we're going to take the training wheels off. We're not going to tell you what the substitution is. First we want to look at the example and try and figure out what the substitution is for ourselves. So it might not be a bad idea for you as you're watching this video to pause at the beginning of each example and try and think about what you think the best substitution would be based off of the integrand that you see before following through and seeing the substitutions that I choose. Alright? So now would be a good time to pause if you're going to try that. Alright, let's look at example 1. We're integrating the sine of the quantity 1 minus x times the quantity 2 minus cosine of the quantity 1 minus x, all raised to the 4th power. Now when I look at this, I see that 4th power, and I see that I'm taking something and raising it to the 4th power, and so I'm going to choose as my substitution this entire quantity that I'm raising to the 4th power. Now there are other substitutions that I can choose, some more effective than others, and that's something that as you get more and more experienced with these, you'll see that sometimes you try a substitution and it doesn't work out the way that you thought, and then maybe you need to pick another substitution. So let's go ahead and we will substitute u equals the quantity 2 minus the cosine of the quantity 1 minus x. And if I take the derivative of this, the left side is du. The right side, the derivative of 2 is 0. The derivative of the opposite of the cosine of 1 minus x dx is going to be, the derivative of the opposite of cosine is sine. And then applying the chain rule, I multiply times the derivative of the inside, the derivative of 1 minus x is negative dx. And so in fact, du here is equal to negative sine of the quantity 1 minus x dx. This is pretty close to what we want to replace. We want to replace the quantity sine of 1 minus x dx, and so we're just going to replace that with the opposite of du. And when we do that, this turns into the opposite of the integral of u to the 4th du. And so that's going to give me negative u to the 5th over 5 plus c. And then I bring u back, and this turns into the opposite of the quantity 2 minus cosine of the quantity 1 minus x, all raised to the 5th over 5 plus c. And there's the integral of my original. Alright, let's look at example 2. We're going to integrate the cosine of 3z times the quantity sine to the 10th of 3z dz. And it's good for us in this case to think about this as the integral of cosine of 3z, cosine of 3z times the quantity sine of 3z to the 10th power. Because that's really what happens when we see sine to the 10th of 3z. It's just the quantity sine of 3z raised to the 10th. And so for my substitution, I'm going to choose this quantity here that's being raised to the 10th power. So u is equal to the sine of 3z, which makes du equal to 3 cosine of 3z dz. Now in my original, I just want to replace cosine of 3z dz, and that's equal to 1/3 of du. So when I make my replacement, this now becomes 1/3 times the integral of u to the 10th du. And I take the antiderivative, that's 1/3 times u to the 11th over 11 plus c, which is equal to u to the 11th over 33 plus c, or bringing u back, it's sine to the 11th of 3z over 33 plus c. And that's where we're going to stop with this video. We'll stop at the end of example 2 because example 3 is going to need its own video to look at. Alright, so that's where we're going to stop for today. See you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.